Welcome once again to the 2007 Superside FIM Sidecar World Championship. Round 1 was held in Germany, where the reigning champion Tim Reeves took victory in the opening match races and collected the first 25 points of the year. In the main race, however, the lead changed several times throughout the 22-lap affair before the Swiss pairing of Markus Schlosser and Adolf Hanni took control of the race, eventually establishing a comfortable lead and winning handsomely. So, they lead the series after round 1 from Tim Reeves and Patrick Farrance, with Delanoy and Pavarinta sharing third position, and Hanni racing at the top of the pile in the team standings. For round 2, the championship comes across the English Channel to the UK, and the famous Brands Hatch circuit in the Garden of England, Kent. Racing alongside the German DTM series, ex-Formula 1 star Mika Häkkinen took time out to look at the sidecar of his fellow countrymen Pekka Piverinta and Timo Kartiala. The Finnish pairing was second in the championship in 2006, taking 5 race wins. But there was no chance of getting Mika Häkkinen, who drives for the Mercedes team, onto the back of that outfit, I can tell you. So, using the Indy circuit here at Brands Hatch, just 1.2 miles around, the lap record 47.6 seconds, 92.5 miles an hour, set by the great Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead in 2005. Tim Reeves just 3/10 short of the lap record in qualifying on pole position. Pavarinta and Schlosser round out the front row, with Ben Birchall and Sebastian Delanoy on the second row of the grid. Richard Gatt and Paul Randall a good 6th. So the number 77 machine there on pole position, just receiving some last-minute adjustments. And the new partner for Tim Reeves in 2007, Patrick Farrance, who received a late call the day before round 1 after Tim's original passenger, Stuart Graham, was injured. Tim Reeves from the UK, world champion 2005 and 2006. Second on the grid, Pekka Piverinta and Timo Kartiala from Finland. Fourth on the grid, Ben and Tom Birchall. Well, that's Ben on the right-hand side of the picture in the leathers. Well, rounding out the front row was the number 55 machine of Markus Schlosser, the black machine in the distance. And the lucky mascot of the number 91 French team, Sebastian Delanoy and Gregory Clues. There's Sebastian, 5th on their first visit to the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Looks a happy chappy. New partnership this year with Gregory Clues as the passenger, and they've looked good so far in Schleitz and here in qualifying at Brands Hatch. Well, the number 33 team, Mark and Sean Hegarty from the UK, winners of the British Championship a couple of times, having their first attempt at the World Championship, qualified in 8th position on the grid. So Tim Reeves and Patrick Farrance waiting for the race start. 36 laps of this short, demanding track ahead of all the teams. And you can see the heat haze very warm here at Brands Hatch. So waiting for the red lights to go out, and they do. Pavarinta gets a good start from the middle of the front row. Slow start for number 77, Tim Reeves. Looking back from Pavarinta, it's very tight into turn 1. And it's number 33, Sean and Mark Hegarty, that have come from 8th on the grid to 2nd position up into Druids for the first time. Well, coming into the hairpin, still 3 and 4 abreast as they're all fighting for this important first lap position. Swooping down the hill, Pavarinta, Hegarty, Richard Gatt and Paul Randall in 3rd, ahead of Tim and Tristan Reeves, I think it was, in 4th position. Yes, indeed, looking ahead from Tim Reeves' machine at Richard Gatt and Paul Randall. And look how the passenger has to move around the sidecar to help keep it stable on the track and get grip to that rear wheel as the power goes down, exiting clearways for the first time. Well, replay of an incident on that first lap. Number 15, Tony Green and Ryan Charwood losing their nose cone and, well, depositing it unceremoniously back on the track. So lap 2, and Pekka Piverinta extending that advantage already. And Sean and Mark Hegarty there. What a fantastic start from the Felixstowe pairing in 2nd position. Number 12, Steve Norbury and Paul Napton coming through shot as Guy Horner and Lee Barrett bringing up the rear at the moment. But Pavarinta and Kartiala really setting a blistering pace in this opening stages of the race. We knew it was going to be a long race, 36 laps, hot conditions. Tyres have been an issue throughout training and qualifying. On board with Richard Gatt and Paul Randall. The GRS Racing PRB Tool sponsored machine using all of the track and every ounce more that they can do, bouncing across those curbs. And that's Sean and Mark Hegarty in second place ahead of us. Pavarinta already into the left-hander on the bottom straight, and we're only on lap 3. Moving back now, Marcus Schlosser and Adolf Hanni, they started on the front row of the grid, but bad start for them. They're down in 6th position behind Josef Moser and Ule Waffler. Moser, the former Austrian ice racer, so he's used to the slippy conditions. He won't care if his tyre goes off, I don't think. But yeah, Schlosser, front row of the grid down to 6th, won't be happy with that. Back with Richard Gatt and Paul Randall, chasing Sean and Mark Hegarty, not closing in on them at the moment as they tip in towards Paddock Hill Bend. And Tim Reeves, Patrick Farrance taking that 3rd position. Tim having a long look over his shoulder at his mate Richard Gatt, saying, "Got you there, pal." So now the 2 Eastern Airways LCR Suzuki GSXRs in 2nd and 3rd position, but it's the Hegarty brothers that are heading that team at the moment. Richard Gatt and Paul Randall dumped down to 4th place by that move from Reeves into Paddock Bend. But still, Pekka Pavarinta stonking away at the front. And Tim Reeves won't want to sit behind his teammate for too long. Want to give chase to Pavarinta. Here's the move again. Well, classic manoeuvre later on the brakes over the rise into Paddock Bend and up the inside, and nowhere for Gatt to close the door. 5th position, Jos Moser and Ule Waffler. Schlosser. Oh, and a big slide there from the number 97 machine of Bernd and Michael Grabmuller. But back on board with Tim Reeves and Patrick Farrance, right on the almost on the sidecar platform of their teammates Sean and Mark Hegarty in front of them, through Graham Hill Bend onto the Cooper Straight one more time. Both those sidecars looking resplendent in that Eastern Airways livery. Oh, and a retirement for number 50, Glyn Jones and Chris Lake. Well, their race short run. But Tim Reeves getting good drive out of Clearways, looking for the inside line as they come on to the start-finish straight in the slipstream of the Hegartys, and pulls out as they come up above the rise. I don't think there'll be any defence of that from Sean and Mark. Richard Gatt and Paul Randall watching that action taking place ahead of them. They're still in 4th position. Oh, and a problem for Gatt and Randall. That's well, that's the gravel at the top of Druids. No brakes, I think Gatt is shouting to Paul Randall, and there's Randall walking away despondently. Well, disappointment. The pair come from just down the road in Maidstone, so a lot of support here at Brands Hatch, and they were hoping for a rostrum finish here this weekend. Unfortunately, it's all ended rather fast in the sandpit at Druids. They don't look very happy bunnies, do they? So back with the race action. Now this is the battle for 4th position. Number 11, Jos Moser. 55, Marcus Schlosser. Sebastian Delanoy, and just behind them, the number 16 machine of Ben and Tom Birchall. Jos Moser and Ule Waffler, the Austrian-Swiss pairing, followed by the all-Swiss pairing of Schlosser and Adolf Hanni. The all-French team of Sebastian Delanoy in 6th position. And the Brits, Ben and Tom Birchall, on the white machine at the back of that group, trying to make contact with them. Around Paddock Bend at almost 100 miles an hour on these sidecars. Delanoy looking threatening to Schlosser as they brake hard into Druids. Passengers getting as much weight on the rear wheel as possible, then have to transfer to the sidecar wheel to stop the machine tipping over through that left-hand corner. Sean and Mark Hegarty there in 3rd. And Delanoy, well, I don't know, Delanoy does look faster than Schlosser at the moment, so he'll be keen to get past the black machine in front and get away from Ben and Tom Birchall. Once more out of Clearways. Oh, and a replay of a spin there for the number 24 machine, the Slovenian Milan Spendel and his English passenger Mark Pickering. Well, all okay there, so they can rejoin the race, but that'll drop them down the order. So as we get deeper into this race, Pavarinta still leading, already lapping the back markers. Number 38, Adam Treasurer and Lionel Cornwall from Australia amongst those. Tim Reeves Well, he's now extended that advantage over teammates Sean and Mark Hegarty and giving chase to Pavarinta. But he's got those back markers to deal with shortly. And there is the gap to Sean and Mark Hegarty on the number 33 machine. And they've just put Tony Green and Ryan Charlwood a lap behind them. So Sean and Mark Hegarty in third position, then the back marker Tony Green, then this battle for fourth position still raging, and it is still Jos Moser on that Team Tyrrell Delta machine holding fourth position. Delanoy still can't find a way past Marcus Schlosser and Adolf Hanni. Delanoy definitely quicker into the Druids hairpin, holding a tight line on the way out, trying to get a good run into Graham Hill Bend, but can't do it there. And still Ben and Tom Birchall hanging on to the back of that fourth place dice, and they've got Tony Green to contend with. Let's hope the blue flags are out. We're on board with Marcus Schlosser looking at a sideways Jos Moser. Well, just making sure Tony Green knew he was there and spinning up that rear wheel as he gets all of the power on coming out of clearways onto the home straight, and that won't do that rear Yokohama much good at all. But Marcus Schlosser got a better run on the start-finish straight. Can't break later than Moser, though, as Moser, missed the apex by a mile there, but still got around quicker than anybody else up into Druids. And Ben and Tom Birchall looking on the inside of Sebastian Delanoy. Delanoy just closing the door, almost touching the back of the French machine, were the Birchall boys, but still finding themselves down in seventh position. So just taking a breather from that frantic action. Delanoy looking to get past Schlosser and Birchall looking to get past both of them, I fear. And all the time that's playing into Jos Moser's hands. He's not really got anybody attacking him, so he can run his own race. On board with the race leaders, Pekka Piverinta and Timo Kartiala, the Team Suzuki Finland LCR Suzuki. And they've just gone past Guy Horner on the number 17 machine, put them another lap behind. Passenger Kardiala working hard to hang on through these left-handers at Brands Hatch. Tough race for all the teams, and a replay of the fourth position battle going past Andy Percy. Andy Percy getting a bit of a nudge from Ben and Tom Birchall on the way in, but still this great scrap for fourth position. A little bit stalemate between the teams. They're obviously equally as fast as each other, so very difficult to get by. But no problems for this man at the front, Pekka Piverinta and Timo Kardiala. They got the jump at the start and set a blistering pace in the opening laps, while the pole position team of Reeves and Farrance was struggling after a slow start. They're now in second position and giving chase to this pair, but the gap is about 5 or 6 seconds at the moment. But Piverinta, lapping in the low 48 seconds, a little bit off lap record pace, but due to the heat and the extra fuel being carried for this race, we didn't expect the lap record really to get broken this weekend. There are Tim Reeves and Patrick Farrance in that second position. So Tim and Patrick beginning to close in on the race leaders. Pekka Piverinta, Patrick Farrance' head just skimming the tarmac there, trying to get the weight over that rear wheel. Third position still number 33, Sean and Mark Hegarty. They've not been on the World Championship podium before, but it's looking good at the moment. On board with Marcus Schlosser in that fifth position. Well, not anymore. Sebastian Delanoy and Gregory Clues slice through on the entry to Druids to take over fifth position from Marcus Schlosser, and they can now set about the Austrian machine of Jos Moser ahead of them. Delanoy and Clues, as I said earlier, a new partnership this year. Young Gregory joining the experienced Frenchman, thoroughly enjoying himself. And now Delanoy right in the slipstream of Jos Moser's LCR Honda CBRR powered machine, pulls out of the slipstream as they dive up towards Druids, but Moser desperately late on the brakes into Paddock Bend. Well, and Schlosser losing another position to Ben and Tom Birchall. So perhaps rattled by that move by Delanoy on the last lap, gave Ben and Tom Birchall the opportunity to get by also, and they'll be keen to get up into that fourth position. Well, Schlosser not very quick coming out of the hairpin. Have the Swiss got a problem? Meanwhile, Sebastian Delanoy looking up the inside of Moser into Surtees, makes that pass stick. Very hard manoeuvre, but through into fourth position now for the Frenchman. Finally pulled the pin on that Wick Suzuki up into fourth. Can he do anything about Sean and Mark Hegarty in third position? Delanoy, Moser, Birchall, Steve Norbury and Paul Napton, and there's Schlosser in pit lane. So disaster for the World Championship leaders. Big disappointment for Adolf Hanni. Oh, and a big incident at Paddock Bend. Lots of dust there, but that looks to be Ryan Charlwood running up, and it is indeed. Tony Green and Ryan Charlwood have gone off in a big way at Paddock Bend. Passenger Ryan Charlwood there helping driver Tony Green extract himself from the bodywork that's come off of the machine. Well, the bodywork. Oh, and Jos Moser's had a spin as well. Where's that? That's at Clearways. Well, Tony Green perfectly okay, walking away. Well, a little bit of a bow to the crowd, but well, in very high and late into Paddock Bend, just got it sideways. Once these machines spin right the way around, the chances of them doing that are very, very high. I can tell you that from experience. Oh, nasty tumble from Ryan Charlwood there. But he's young, he bounces well. Rider and passenger perfectly okay, happy to report. So Pekka Pivarinta still leading this race. Number 77, Tim Reeves and Patrick Ferrance in second place, having just passed Isle of Man TT winners Dave Molyneux and Rick Long. They returned from the Isle of Man, missed the opening qualifying session, and just had one session to get on the grid here, but managed it. Third place then, number 33, Sean and Mark Hegarty. There's Milan Spendel, and there's the number 91 machine of Sebastian Delanoy in fourth position, about to pass Guy Horner and Lee Barrett. Well, Delanoy all on his own now, so we've had Schlosser in the pits. Moser, we saw, had a spin. We appear to have lost Ben and Tom Birchall as well, so I wonder if they were caught up in that Moser incident. They would have been right behind them, but we haven't seen what's happened. Oh, and another spinner. Well, it's all excitement here within the space of a lap at Brands Hatch. That's the French pairing of Mark Baer and the Finnish passenger, Aki Aalto. And they've beached it in a big way at Paddock Hill Bend, but luckily didn't make it as far down as the Tony Green machine. Pekka Pivarinta, Timo Kartiala passing Michael and Bernd Grabmuller. That's Moser's teammates. Well, Grabmuller's really have been going well this year since Schleitz. They've got a new machine, and it really seems to suit them. Qualified well, but going a lap down to Pivarinta. There is Tim Reeves and Patrick Ferrance giving chase in second position. The Eastern Airways machine, the fastest on the track at the moment, and approaching lap record pace. Not under 48 seconds though. As I say, long race, lots of fuel, lots of tyre wear as well. The 47.6 lap record was set during the sprint races a couple of years ago, so not carrying the same sort of weight that these guys are now. So Reeves and Ferrance coming up behind number 97, Bernd and Michael Grabmuller. They've got to get past them cleanly to continue their charge up towards Pekka Pivarinta, but Pivarinta doing a very good job hanging on at the front. Into Paddock Bend once more. Reeves and Ferrance quicker through Paddock Bend than the Austrians ahead of them. Jinx out to the right, clean pass up the inside into Paddock Bend. Suspect Grabmuller knew they were there from the blue flags, made it easy for them. Now down the hill before hard braking into Graham Hill Bend. Lots of sliding out of this corner. 200 brake horsepower, don't forget, these 1000cc machines have got. And all of it being put down on the road just through that 10-inch wide rear slick tyre. And that's why Patrick Ferrance has to perform those acrobatics, just to try and squeeze that tyre onto the ground and get as much of that power to the tarmac as possible. There is the gap, another back marker between the leader and second place, and that's the Adam Treasurer, Lionel Cornwall Aircom F1 Superside machine, with Pivarinta coming up to lap Jos Moser, well, the Austrian was in 4th position before that spin. Oh, and a bit of smoke coming from that Mark Bear machine. Nothing serious yet. Moser, well, he knows he's there, leaves the door open. Big shame for the Austrian, running in 4th before that spin. Now finds himself going a lap down. Beautiful controlled drift at about 90 miles an hour coming out of clearways. Lots of blue smoke from Moser as well. Not sure where Moser's running at the moment. I think just outside the top 10, and this is a battle for a top 10 place between Dave Molyneux and Billy Galros and Wayne Stevens. Molyneux just going past the Swede. There's Moser. Now Tim Reeves and Patrick Ferrance behind them. Hopefully the blue flag's waving again, because that gap is definitely getting smaller to the race leader. Well, there's... Well, Tim Reeves having to use a bit of the grass and more to rudely pass Jos Moser, and acknowledges the fact by just giving Moser a little wave saying, sorry mate, I had to go past you there, I'm battling for the win here, you know. Slipping and sliding through the S's and into clearways once more. That rear tyre on the Reeves machine looks in pretty good shape for this stage of the race, and that gap definitely closing. That's about 3 seconds now behind Pekka Pivarinta and Timo Kartiala. Fantastic to watch through Paddock Bend are Tim Reeves and Patrick Ferrance. Of course, Tim used to be passengered by his brother Tristan, won those 2 World Championships, but the partnership, well, disbanded at the end of last year. Originally, Stuart Graham, the man from Northern Ireland, was going to get on the passenger platform of the number 77 machine. He got injured in qualifying at Schleitz, so Pat Ferrance stepped in. Oh, and number 45, Andy Percy and Michael Hildebrand, they're in the gravel, and that's at clearways as Pivarinta goes through. Well, that gap definitely coming down now, but they're coming in to start the final lap, and that's a big ask for Tim and Tristan Reeves, I think, to close that gap to Pivarinta over this last... well, less than a mile to go now, but Tim Reeves never gives up. If Pivarinta has any sort of mistake, they'll be there to pounce, but Pivarinta looking smooth. You can see slight line on the rear tyre of the Finnish machine, blistering. Not surprisingly, they've set a hard pace from the word go, using all of the curbs, so still trying 100%. But Tim Reeves and Patrick Ferrance putting in the fastest lap of the race so far. Big slide from Pekka Pivarinta through the S's for the final time. Sliding out of clearways and onto the home straight. Well, Reeves is within about a second, but it's not going to be enough to stop the Finns from taking a superb victory here at Brands Hatch. Tim Reeves, Pat Ferrance, 2nd position. And 3rd position, I think, is going to be Sean and Mark Hegarty, but celebrations in front of the main grandstand. They're over the moon with that on Tim Reeves' back door as well. Well, Pivarinta and Kardiala confirmed the win. Reeves, Ferrance 2nd. Sean and Mark Hegarty indeed got 3rd position. Sebastian Delanoy and Greg Clues in 4th. Ben and Tom Birchall recovered to 5th. Steve Norbury and Paul Napton rounding out the top 6. Well, the Superside girls there celebrating the podium. Tim Reeves, Pat Ferrance shaking the hands of Timo Kardiala and Pekka Pivarinta. And joy for Sean and Mark Hegarty, their first ever World Championship podium on home soil. Finnish national anthem playing out. Proud moment. Timo Kartiala on the left, Pekka Pivarinta on the right there.
A very proud moment for Pekka and for Timo. Well done.
So as the champagne spray, well, Tim wanted to be first in the race with the champagne, didn't he? At least he's got one win this afternoon. So that victory puts Pivarinta and Kardiala at the top of the point standings, ahead of Tim Reeves and Patrick Ferrance. Delanoy and Clues move up to 3rd. Schlosser and Hanny, the big losers of the weekend, dropping from the lead down to 4th position. Steve Norbury, Paul Napton in 5th. Well, that double podium puts Team Eastern Airways in the top of the team standings, ahead of the Hanny Racing team, and Team Suzuki Finland in 3rd. But the day belongs to Pekka Pivarinta and Timo Kartiala. The next round comes from MotoGP at Assen. We'll see you again.